Hello and welcome back everyone. Now in this lecture we'll be learning more fun things about function. That is, we'll be learning how to return a value from a function. In our previous lecture, all we did was just print out the result onto the output screen, right? What if you wanted to use that output? That means you want to return a value from a function back to a program. So how can we do that? So we have the code from our previous lecture right here. Now suppose you wanted to return the value of x plus y. How can you do it? So to make this very simple, I'll show you an example. So what we'll be doing is that we need to get back the result from a function, right? So to store that result value, let's make a variable result. Okay, now this variable result is an integer variable and it will store the result of a function call. Now how can you make it to store the result of a function call? All we need to do is just result equals add 5, 10. Now there is still a problem because our function definition is not returning a value, it's just printing it out onto the output screen. So how can we make our function definition return a value back to our function call? So to do that, what you need to do is you just type in return x plus y. What this line will do is that it will return the value x plus y back to a function call, and that value will be stored in our result. Now if you observe, there's a red line which indicates an error. Now if you paid attention to our previous lecture, I told you that we were using void because we were just printing out onto the output screen. We weren't returning anything. But in this case, we are returning something. We are returning an integer. So that means we need to change the type of our function, because it is an integer function. Because as we are returning an integer value, we need to make our function an integer function. So we change this from void to int because we are returning an integer value. So make sure that your function definition is of the same data type as your returning value. If your returning value is a floating point number, your function definition must be a float. So the same way, if your function definition returns a string, its data type should also be a string. Alright, now let's run this. Before that, let us just try printing out the result. System.out.println. The result is system.out.println again result. Awesome. Let's run this and we get the result is 15. So what did we do in this lecture? Instead of just printing out a value with the help of a function, we return the value of our function. That means we returned the sum of the two numbers and we store that result in a variable called result, and we printed out that result value. Now this is how you return a value from the function definition back to the function call. Now this is a very simple example to explain how to return a value. You can make use of the same concept in writing complex programs, and as you start writing more programs, I'm sure you get the hang of it. Alright, so that is all about this lecture where we learned how to return a value from a function. That is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. So until then, take care, have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.